Hello and welcome to the Dreams Come True podcast. My name is Austin Henson, and the man that I'm always doing this with is
Ryan Moreau, the Prediction King.
All right. Today we have a guest with us, member of the UNCW basketball team, Jeantal Cylla. How's it going, man?
What's going on? How y'all doing today?
Doing good. You know, you were just telling me that one of the few days off you get.
Yep, it's been a busy week, especially around conference time. Sundays are usually our off days, so just sitting down. I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, man. We're glad to have you. And we were also talking about, homecoming coming up this week. It should be an exciting week. It's going to be a busy week.
Yep, I'm sure the games are going to be sold out. Even the women's game should have a pretty good crowd.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm just excited. We got to go 2-0. I know it's homecoming week this weekend, but our focus is trying to beat the next two opponents that come in our gym. So that's the most important thing for us. But I just hope the fans can come and see us win on the homecoming weekend.
Yeah. And who you guys playing this weekend, Thursday and Saturday?
I want to say James Madison and Townsend.
Oh, nice. Man, the girls team this year,
Yeah,
killing it.
Yep.
Killing
They had a few girls that sat out last year. I think they had 3 or 4 girls that sat out with Redshirt, just like I did. So them coming to play, and they're doing pretty good for people that sat out. So I think Gianna Smith and Sharita Parker, I think they came in with immediate impact. So I think they got a pretty good chance of winning the whole thing.
Yeah, man, because they were played a couple weekends ago, or even last weekend was Towson and JMU.
Yeah, those are number 1, number 2 teams.
Yeah.
So like those
Beat 'em
two
both.
wins, those 2 wins was huge because the last 6-7 years, the women's have not been that successful in the conference. So the turn season, they're turning around.
Yeah, when we went up to the women's tournament, I think 2 years ago, it was in Harrisonburg, Virginia, where JMU is, and man, oh man, it looked like a completely different team.
Yeah.
And I'm not no shade towards the women's team, but I'm just saying that because they've gotten so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, what Coach Barefoot's done with the team,
she's
really
definitely
impressive.
She's definitely changed things around, and the recruits she's brought in, like I said, with Gianna, which have college experience at ODU. Sharita was at a Big Ten school, so they have pretty good players on that team. So I think they're my favorite to win the whole thing.
Yeah. And that was an interesting year because we both got a new coach for the men's team, Coach McGrath, and for the women's team. And I think that what Coach McGrath's doing this year is I think it's very impressive because, I mean, it seemed like, I mean, it was a transitional period with, Coach Keats leaving and then Coach McGrath coming in. So obviously there were going to be some differences. But I think that this year it started off kind of rocky, but I think once we got around Thanksgiving time, you guys are really impressing me.
Yeah.
Like, I think that especially, with the production that you've given, what Kai's given, I think that, with Ty Gadsden, him asserting himself as this good shooter that's, he was coming off the bench and now, he started the last game.
Yeah.
So I think that, you guys are on your way to being a force, man.
Looking from the outside in, people don't realize our non-conference schedule was pretty tough.
Oh, for real, it was.
And a lot of the games we played, I think every game we played except for the Mercer game, we were favored to lose that game, according to ESPN. So we knew coming into conference that we were battle-tested, and we knew we would play much better in conference.
Yeah. And it's good for you guys to have that kind of non-conference schedule because those are the games where you're able to test yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So we're definitely battle-tested. We played Georgia State, Stanford, North Carolina. So we played a pretty good schedule. UNC Greensboro, who won their conference, So I think we're definitely Furman, which was undefeated at the time. They was ranked in the country. So, we played some pretty good, tough opponents in non-conference. So people were talking about how the season was going towards, a negative standpoint. But we always were positive because we knew when conference play would come, we'll be battle-tested and we'll be one of the top teams in the conference. So we had no doubt in our minds the position we're in now.
All right, cool. So could you tell, players, maybe in high school or middle school that want to play collegiately, what it's like to play against, North Carolina or Stanford?
Well, for me, it's an unbelievable experience because I've always watched North Carolina on TV. I've always watched, Tennessee and all these big schools, Michigan, Stanford. So to play against those schools at their schools, unbelievable experience because I dream of that. I dream of playing on national TV. So I know there's young kids probably watching me right now on TV saying, wow, I can't wait to be in his shoes. So it's a very humble experience. But after the North Carolina game, I remember, the next morning, I was getting so much phone calls from my past teachers in high school and middle school telling me how proud they were of how I became. And I was always saying that in class, I'm going to be on TV, and I actually did it. So, I didn't tell a lot of people this, but I actually cried after the game. But I didn't cry because we lost. I cried because I was like, wow, I just played against North Carolina on national TV. I always said it to myself, but I didn't, when it happened, I didn't really believe it. So I actually shed a tear, especially when I seen my professors and old coaches calling me and telling me how proud they were of me. So so to the kids out there, just continue to work hard. Like, you never know when it can happen. Like, it happened. So just got to continue to work and put in overtime.
And that's something I can kind of say about you just from what I've seen. Like, I usually get to the games really early, like way earlier than I should. I like getting out there and watching you guys warm up. But it's always like you and like Jalen Sims and Kai are like always like three of the first people out there. And I like consistently I'm seeing you because I could tell that you want it. Yeah. You want to. You're not settling for anything. You're always working towards something.
Yeah, I never had any handouts growing up, and I knew, my family taught me if I wanted something in life, I got to work hard at it. I wasn't highly recruited out of high school. I wasn't a 5-star prospect, so I always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder to work harder. I always thought I was overlooked, and even when I transferred here, when I sat out my redshirt year, I was on the team, but nobody actually knew who I was. And when I sat out that year, I always was like, when I play next year, I'm going to make sure I have a huge impact. So every road trip my team would go on last year, I would be in the gym, pulling up extra shots and just doing things that I see that on the court that we need help with. So I used that redshirt year as just a mental approach. A lot of time when a guy's redshirt, it's frustrating because you can't play. So you lose a couple of the game rhythm. When you're playing basketball, if you don't play basketball for a year, like, it's a lot of things you miss out as far as, like, it's different between being in shape and being in game shape. So I struggled with that, but I knew when I had the opportunity, I knew the work I put in will pay off. So now that I am playing, I didn't want my work ethic to stop. I continue to approach it like I was sitting out, if you understand what I'm saying. That's why before every game or the night before the game, I continue to stick with the routine because, I'm a rhythm basketball player. I have to have the ball in my hands a couple of times. I have to have it's a feel. Basketball is all about feel. So I just like to come about an hour before the game just to see the ball go in the net. I just continue with the work ethic.
And you talked a little bit about your upbringing. A little bit. So could you tell people a little bit about, some of your, like, family and your roots and stuff from Haiti?
Well, my mom originally from Haiti. My dad actually from the Dominican Republic, which they share the same island. So that's how they met. And my mom originally came to the United States probably like the late 80s. We didn't have a lot of family here. She pretty much came just for a better opportunity because we all know that Haiti is the poorest country in the Caribbean. Yeah. And my mom was fortunate enough to leave that for a better opportunity in the U.S. And, as a kid, I knew that. I knew that everything my mom did was for me and my brother. And so getting an education was really important for my family because my mom was not able to get the same education that I had because of the situations in Haiti. So I knew that basketball would help me get that education. That's why I continued to work when I was a kid. I continued to strive to be the best I can because my mom was not able to afford, certain things or not able to afford a 4-year university school because it's expensive. and I didn't have the best grades and all the academic scholarship, but I knew I could get the athletic scholarship. And just seeing her work and just seeing the stories she would tell me about how she was when she was in the island, just continue to say, damn, I'm blessed. And just basketball, it's a tool that brought me all across the world. Without the sport, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I just really appreciate it because, my mom did a lot for me, and I think that was what drive me to this day. Like you said, he sees me before the games. I just have that motivation to be the best I can be. So, like, education was really important to me. I'm fortunate to get a degree this semester. And, I thank basketball for that because it's made me meet so many important people. It's made me travel across the world, and it's made me a smart young man. So that's really what.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, you talked about, this is called, I didn't know if you knew this, but our podcast is called Dreams Come True Network. So you're talking about your dream of playing basketball and being on national TV and playing against a lot of really good college players. So what is your ultimate dream? Is this your ultimate dream, or did you want to try to go to the next level or get at a trial or, maybe travel around the world and try to play professionally somewhere?
Like, my dream is to be a professional athlete, But my dream at first was to be a collegiate athlete, and I already exceeded that. My expectation wasn't, I didn't think I was gonna come this far. I always dreamed it, but I always had doubts because a lot of people in my position, a lot of kids in my neighborhood always said that, but they never did it. For example, like my brother or my older cousins, always had dreams of playing college basketball, and then it didn't go through. So obviously I had my doubts, but I always had the dream. So now that I was able to play college basketball, I'm like, wow, I could continue doing this. So, but my dream is to be a professional athlete, whether it's the NBA or overseas. I feel like, lately I've been getting a few feedback from a few professional teams. And I just feel like if I continue to work, I can, be anything I want to be. To be honest with you, I know it sounds like cliche, but like it's really true because, I dreamed of being a college basketball player, but I worked at it. I didn't just dream. I just worked and worked and worked. Even when I didn't think it was possible at first, I still worked and it happened. So I think if I bring the same approach to being a pro, I think it'll work.
Yeah, it seems like, that dream that you had leads to the motivation, which then leads to you putting in that work that you needed to get to this level. That's very powerful. Some of the things that you've been saying, and it just seems like the process that you've gone through to get to this level has just been really amazing.
Yeah,
and also, just you mentioned it a couple times. You had a redshirt year.
Mm-hmm.
You tell people about kind of that process, because maybe that's not something that people really understand. It's like this guy's on the team, but he's not playing at the games. I see him on the bench, but he's not dressed out.
Yeah. So
sorry, real quick. I used to see you in the library all the time. I used to see you in the rec center.
I had time in my hands. I had time. I had
I
time.
wanted to go up and talk to you because I knew you were on the team because I saw that you got, you're a red shirt sitting out. But I was like, what do I really go up and say to him?
Yeah, it was a weird time because people would ask me about the team and ask me why am I not traveling or why am I not playing, and a lot of people don't understand what redshirt means, and I say I'm redshirting, and they look at me kind of, it's like, what's redshirting? What does that mean? Well, when you transfer from a Division I program to another Division I program, it's a rule that states that you have to sit out that year. You can't play any games. You can practice, but you can't play any games or travel. Whereas if you go to a Division I to a Division II program, you can play, or Division I to D3 you can play. But just if it's the same division, you just have to sit out. It's a rule that they've been trying to get rid of, but it's not easy because if you take out the redshirt year, then you'll have all these college teams trying to form a dream team. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like a kid from Michigan probably will go to North Carolina next year and win a chip. So that's why they try to not make that happen by implementing the redshirt year. And for me, my redshirt year was it was tough because I couldn't play the game of basketball. The redshirt year, it can go two ways. You can get better at your game, or you can get worse. It's a lot of times when kids are redshirt, they're away from the game, and it's hard. So when a year goes by and they actually could play, they forget the speed of the game. You know what I'm saying? They forget the feel of the game and playing with referees. That's tough. Taking a kid that's been playing basketball his whole life and him not being able to play for 365 days in a game, just practice. Practice is practice, but everybody knows towards conference time, you don't really practice 5-on-5. You just go over the plays and shoot around a little bit, but you're not going up and down. You know what I'm saying? So,
like you said, game shape is way
different. So
practice shape.
If the player doesn't work on his game and do game-like workouts, it's going to be tough for him when the game comes because he's not going to be familiar with the game speed anymore. So people have to, when you go into redshirt, you have to know, like, wow, I'm going to be out of the game for a long time. So I have to work on things I've never worked on before. And for me, I was blessed enough. The coach told me how to approach it, and they helped me through the process, and they treated me like I was playing that year. And in the educational standpoint, I got a chance to, just like you said, you saw me in the library a lot. When I transfer schools, a lot of times, a lot of credit hours don't transfer. When I was for Atlantic, a lot of mine didn't transfer. So I had to retake a few classes. So when I sat out that year, I just took a few more extra classes that I usually take. So I got all caught up. That's why I'm able to graduate this year. Because last year I was, grinding on the court and in the classroom. I had all the time in the world, you know what I mean? So I just stayed in the library. It was frustrating taking those classes over again. But I knew, why not? Why not, just putting the extra work in.
And so you said you had a lot of, like, free time and stuff like that. So in your free time, because a lot of people don't know, they just see y'all on the court. They don't see a lot of the stuff y'all do, in your free time besides other than, like, studying. Is there anything you like to do in your free time, like video games or, like social media or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm into social media. I'm into Instagram and stuff like that. I'm not really into the video game. My roommates are. Like, Fortnite is pretty big in my house. Like, so we play a lot of video games, but 2K, but I'm not really much of a video game player, though. I like going to the movies. We'll go bowling sometimes. It's I think it's called Jungle Rapids. Yeah. We go as a team.
Cool.
We actually go there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we, go there and go to go-karts and compete against each other, laser tag. We try to do stuff like that, like outside of basketball, just build team chemistry. Well, the team wasn't around as much last year, so I was by myself. So I had to, like, kind of make some friends, not athletic, you know what I mean? Just hang out and just to go to the rec. That's why you see me in the rec a lot, just to hang out and just be a regular student for a year.
That's really good. Got anything?
Yeah. I mean, that's so cool. Like, I bet it's a really cool thing getting to, just have those moments outside of playing basketball with your teammates, because that's what you're doing outside the court. I mean, you care about those guys, so you're going to work harder on the court for them, not just for you.
Yeah, it's how chemistry is huge.
Absolutely.
Because, if you have a good chemistry, you're going to play. You want to play harder for that teammate. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to win for that player. You're going to want to win for the coach.
Yeah.
Whereas you have bad chemistry, you may not make that extra pass because you may not want to see him succeed as much if he was your friend. You know what I mean? So building a friendship off the court really helps on the court, because you want to do great for your teammate. You want to go as hard as you can and impress your teammates and just make that extra pass or go get that extra rebound. You see what I'm saying? So I think in defense, especially, I think chemistry is huge on defense, because if your man get beats, you would want your teammate to have your back at the rim and help side and just playing for each other. But I think we have pretty good chemistry this year. I think we're playing for each other.
Oh, absolutely. So obviously you play basketball.
Yep.
are there any other sports that you've either played, in sort of like in high school or just maybe in a community league?
Growing up, I was football. I played football first, actually. Before I played basketball. Football, I was a pretty good receiver. I wanted to go NFL. I was a big Randy Moss fan. Yeah, I love football. But, I got a growth spurt, and then, the basketball just made more sense, and then my mom didn't like me playing football because of the contact as much in high school. She was kind of concerned about that. So I was like, wow, I love football, but it hurt. You probably want to play. In Florida, football is huge.
Absolutely.
Like, so growing up, everybody played football, and in Florida, you see 8th grade, 6'4", 310. So it's like, wow, you're in 8th grade? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so football is, you have some NFL prospects coming out of my neighborhood. Like,
Dang.
every draft, it's always somebody in my city, in my high school that gets drafted. Like, so
wow.
Football is huge in Florida, man, really huge. So my mom didn't like the contact as much, and basketball just made more sense.
That's interesting you mentioned that, because that seems like a big thing now that people are starting to realize, where they're not really wanting their kids to play football anymore. When I was in middle school, I played football, and maybe it was me just being in middle school, or maybe these talks were going on then, but with the rise of awareness in CTE, and just when you see how many people have been affected by that, or how many people lose their lives early on, it's hard though, because football is such a fun sport, and it's a sport that is kind of synonymous with America, because it's not. It's
America's sport. Like, you see Megatron and Beast Mode, those guys are retiring early because they're still young. Like, Calvin could still play. I think he's like early 30s. Yeah, he's dominant now. If he, you know what I mean. But like, he understands, like,
there's more life.
It's more life than just football. Like, you know what I mean. Because he left a lot of money on the table. He was still kind of in his prime of his career. And then when he retired, I think players was like, oh, wow, like, he got a serious point here, because, he has a family, and that's more important to him than that football be. But that contact in football is vicious out there, man, because you got guys that's 300 and something pounds that run a 4.2 coming at you full speed. So I didn't blame Megatron when he did that. I understood why he chose to step away from the game, because football can be dangerous. But looking outside in as a fan, you want to see Megatron out there. You want to see hard hits on the quarterback helmet first.
Yeah. But
then when you really think about it, you can see why the referees have been so strong on calling those helmet first hits. And, it's kind of boring to watch, but it makes more sense in the long run.
So, speaking of football again, I know the Super Bowl coming up next week. I want your prediction on camera. Who you got? The Rams, Patriots?
I have the Patriots. Tom Brady. Patriots, close game. I said my score is 27-30.
The game last year, the Super Bowl last year, was ridiculous. I could not even imagine them scoring. It was they both scored over 50 points in there, something like that. My girlfriend, not even remotely into football, she was like on the edge of her seat watching, because it was just people back and forth scoring, back and forth.
That was a pretty good Super Bowl. I was mad because every year the team does, you pick, everybody in the team picks who you want, who's gonna win, and if you lose, you have to run sprints. So the Tom Brady lost, so we had to come and run sprints. I was really upset about that. But I think Tom Brady has a chance of winning this year. It's going to be a good thing, because the Rams are good. Their offense is pretty good. So it's going to be a pretty interesting matchup.
Yeah, that's the thing with the difference between the Rams and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have that high-powered offense, but that defense is not anything significant.
It's not. Rams, they have Donald.
He's Aaron Donald.
He's a beast. He keeps that defense intact.
They got Sue, too.
Yeah, they do have Sue. So they're not just an all-around offensive team like the Chiefs. Their defense kind of like...
It's legit.
It's legit. So they have an all-around team. Patriots have their hands full. But I think experience...
There's that guy, that number 12.
Yeah, he's experienced. I think everybody's scared to go against them.
Yeah, you can't teach experience.
Yeah, so it's gonna be an interesting matchup.
And are you like a Dolphins fan, or what kind of?
Unfortunately, I am a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, so
I mean, I have to. But we have pretty good matchups versus Tom Brady though. He doesn't really like going against Miami Dolphins. I realize that. I mean, we always play the best games versus the Patriots, and we end up beating them most of the times. But anybody else that comes to Dolphins arena, we don't play the same energy.
Do you want Nick Foles to be your quarterback?
I would love Nick Foles to be a Miami Dolphins fan. I think if Nick Foles go to Miami, we'll have a shot at least making the playoffs.
Because once Nick Foles gets to the playoffs,
it's dangerous.
Magical things happen.
Yes, so I think that's the problem with the Dolphins now. We don't have a consistent quarterback. We always had okay quarterbacks, Tannehill, but I think if we have a consistent quarterback like Nick Foles, I think we'll have a better shot of making the playoffs at least.
And do you watch like NBA games and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's kind of hard during the season because I try to watch a lot of college games, but
I got you.
I do watch NBA games when I can.
Do you have like a favorite team, favorite player, anything like that?
Me, I'm a Heat fan, of course.
Yeah.
But it's Dwayne Wade's last rise, so I try to keep up with as many games as I can because when Dwayne Wade leaves the league, it's gonna be tough for me because I grew up watching Dwayne Wade, and this year being his last year, it's kind of crazy to see how time flies.
Yeah, that's gotta be interesting. You being from the Miami area, that you were in Miami whenever the big run with Bosh and LeBron was going on. Yeah, what was that like?
Even before that, with Shaq.
Oh yeah, with Shaq and
Dwayne Wade and
yeah,
Gary Payton, the white chocolate. That's when I really fell in love with Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat. But
because that finals in 06, the one you with Shaq, a lot of people say that was the best finals performance since Michael Jordan at the time.
Yes, because
he was amazing.
Yeah, it was. But after that year, Miami Heat fell off.
They did
for a long time. It was just Dwayne Wade and him winning games by himself. And the tickets was I'm gonna say you can go to Miami around 2008. You can go to a game for $30. $30 you go because American Airlines is that's expensive, so you can get a $30 ticket. That's big. That's good. So we can go to a lot of Heat games. As soon as LeBron said he was going to the Heat, it went up to 120, 130, 200, 250. So it's it was harder to go to the games. And then when he actually started playing games, it was $300. So, I made it to one game when obviously I couldn't make it as much when LeBron was there, but just the environment, period. LeBron James in Miami Heat uniform, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, that was looking up wow, they're in my state, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because that was a fun team to watch.
It was.
You, obviously you had Ray Allen coming over from the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a lot of good role players. You had Shane Battier,
yes.
Mike Miller, and those all seem like those LeBron's guys, that the type of players that he likes. Those kinds of role players. But yeah, I imagine that was it was really cool. I was actually in Orlando, so quite a bit further north than you. I was in Orlando the day or the week that the Heat won their first championship with LeBron.
Yeah.
And so I actually have that paper, a paper in Florida from when LeBron won his first championship.
Yeah, I was excited. I wanted LeBron to win that first one because I thought he was the best player in the world, but they kept saying he has to win a championship first to become one of the greats. So winning that first championship, I think, put him in the conversation with Michael Jordan. In my opinion, I think he's the second best player to ever play the game.
Behind Michael Jordan?
Behind Michael Jordan, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate
it.
that.
He's a LeBron hater, so.
No, I mean, all right, so.
No, he's a hater.
You're a LeBron hater.
God, see, I don't have enough time to. I don't hate. I just gotta be real. Call a spade.
What's your problem with LeBron?
The only thing about LeBron, I'm not even gonna bring up the championship numbers because
I understand that the record isn't as pretty.
Yeah, it's just I don't like his style that much. A lot of people say he's a good player, and he is. But think about it too. When he drives in, if he played in the 90s or early 2000s, you see all these like hand check
Yes,
rules
I
now.
understand that. I understand that.
It's
but
all, the referees, they call everything. You see James Harden, he drives in, they call everything. Now, he more benefits from the referees and a lack of quality.
But he's
big
strong,
man in
though.
the
He's
league.
260 plus
He is.
pounds, 6'8".
He is.
You think those guys in the 2000s were as strong as him?
I think they could compete a little
Yes.
bit more.
And his speed for that size is unbelievable. And, I think he's exceeded all the expectations because they've been talking about LeBron James since he was in 8th grade about being the next great thing. And I think he's exceeded that and beyond. You look at LeBron James and what he's accomplished. You know how pressure that is for a 17-year-old kid to come out of high school to the NBA and have the impact he had as a rookie. And from now, looking back at it, you have to appreciate LeBron and how he's carried himself.
Yeah, and not just on the court, but off the court.
Yes,
the fact that he had so much pressure on him since he was a kid.
That's a lot of pressure.
And he hasn't, messed up off the court.
Yes.
I mean, that's impressive.
It is impressive.
Because you see people who were like child stars and they have troubled lives growing up.
Mhm.
But man.
LeBron, yeah, he's
But see, I just want to point out something you said.
Oh.
A flaw in your argument that you just said is that, he benefits from the refs. The one part of LeBron's game where he's not really hurting anyone is at the free throw line. So,
I mean, no, what I was trying to say is not just fouls and stuff, but more of like the lane being open. Nowadays, like if you go back to the 90s and stuff, the 80s, if you try to drive in like that,
you're getting hit and checked.
yeah,
Yep.
you're gonna get hit. Like if you try to drive in against like Dennis Rodman or something,
Yeah.
he'll hack you.
And the Detroit Pistons team.
Yeah, he'll hack you. But now if he try to if someone did that to him, now he get all like heated and stuff, and he wouldn't know how to adjust. In my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Still great though.
Yeah, still he's a top 10 talent.
Top 10.
Yeah, he's
Hater.
a top 10 talent.
Can you
bro.
give me your top 5? Can you give me 5 players other than Michael Jordan who is better than LeBron James?
Magic Johnson?
Kareem
Abdul-Jabbar,
I need to say something real
Larry
quick.
Bird.
He says Magic Johnson has
Kareem
a.
Abdul-Jabbar.
He says you've already said that. He says Magic Johnson has a better jump shot than LeBron.
Bill Russell.
You've never seen Magic Johnson shoot a 3.
He's good.
I know for a fact you've never seen Magic Johnson shoot a 3. I mean, he's a great point guard. He's 6'9", and his vision is out of the world. But you've never seen Magic Johnson shoot a step back 3. If you can show me a video of Magic Johnson shooting a step back 3,
Different era, man. The cameras just wasn't around.
You know
to
what I
see
mean?
it.
Like,
they just didn't record it. Different era.
but I think, come on, LeBron James is. he's one of
I'll
the-
let you say.
and the longevity of his career.
Yeah.
Like, people his age and play that many games will be going downwards. To me, LeBron's seeing him with the Lakers, I don't see him going down. He's still athletic. His numbers are still crazy. Still an all-star starter.
Yeah.
Like Magic at that age, or I'm sorry, Michael Jordan at that age, Kareem at that age, wasn't LeBron at his age.
I will give him credit though, because like he said, he grew up in that social media era, and it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure, and he has dealt with it well. I give him credit there.
Him not being clutch, him not being a winner, like it's a lot of pressure. So especially in social media, you turn your Instagram on, and a lot of yous out there, LeBron haters.
I ain't a hater.
I kind of want to get your opinion on this. What do you think of James Harden and the run that he's on right now over the past probably 30 or so games?
Yeah, we've had this conversation in the locker room actually, and we was debating if James Harden is one of the best offensive players ever, and I was like, yes, because that run is hard, especially him doing it with the efficiency. It's not like he's just shooting a bunch of shots and the percentage is horrible. Like, he has a pretty good percentage. And him getting to the free throw line, I know it's a different era, but that's a skill to get to the free throw line like that. People don't understand that. Like, he's not paying the refs, like, give me a call. It's like it's a skill to be able to step through and get your opponent to foul you. So you have to really appreciate that. It's hard to get. I mean, as a basketball player, we know you drive to get a contact foul, but the rest may not always call it. But James Harden figures out how to toy with his defenders, and he's one of the league top assist men. So I think he's one of the best offensive players I've ever seen so far. Like,
I mean, you don't see guys doing what he's doing. Like he's averaging what, like 40 over the 40 something over the past 20 games.
Yeah, but 52 over the last 5.
52 over the last 5.
Yeah.
But it's you could see it coming too. You know what it's about to happen. He starts dribbling between his legs.
Yeah.
The guy comes and sets a pick. Once the guy goes around the screen, as soon as he sees that little hand right there, just throws it right up.
Yeah. That's a skill.
And he'll get the call.
That's a skill.
It is. He's so crafty. Like, I think it was, I don't know who it was. It was one of the pundits on like ESPN talking about this. But in that game where they played the Warriors a couple weeks ago, he picked up his dribble with like the last few seconds left and then threw it off Steph's shoe to get a kickball violation. Yeah. It's like, in the moment, that seems like, when you see it, you're like, oh, that's something you could do. But in the moment, I imagine the pressure's on.
Yeah.
It's hard to think.
How would you think about? Yeah, how'd you think that? But I like hearing his post game interviews, and I like when he says like, those shots go in because I work at it, and I was in the gym last night making the same shot, and this doesn't happen overnight. Like, I like hearing him say that because it's like, man, like even James Harden puts in extra work. It doesn't just happen overnight. Like.
Yeah, and he plays in such a pretty style, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just –
smooth.
Yeah, it's real smooth. It's real efficient. But it's also, creative, I guess.
It is. It's different, but I'm definitely a fan. I'm definitely a fan of his game.
Ryan, you want to tell Gene who your favorite player is?
Oh, my favorite player is Rondo. Well, actually, it was James Harden, but then I like to be different than everybody, and then James Harden got too popular, so now he's my second favorite.
Rondo? I like Rondo. Remember Rondo with the Celtics was an all-star.
Yeah, he was.
And I like a defender. He picks up full. Doesn't really shoot it. I wish he was a shooter.
Yeah, I wish he could shoot a little bit.
I would like to play with Rondo because he knows how to pass the ball, and he knows how to get his teammates involved.
And something that I appreciate about Rondo's game, and Ryan talked about this, is the creativity in his game.
Yeah.
He has that little thing where he grabs the ball, pulls it back. I mean, he's so smart when it comes to passing the ball. I mean, he's a very interesting player.
Rondo's a dog. Like, he's just a dog. Like, he doesn't care who you are. He's gonna go up to your face and defend.
And I've said this a few times, but you very rarely see LeBron, kind of give up the offense to another player. When I was watching him with the Lakers, like both Rondo and LeBron would run the offense, and it was more like, okay, everything was cool with that. Like when you saw that with Kyrie, but it was a very different thing. Kyrie wasn't looking to pass the ball. Whenever Kyrie ran the offense, it was okay. Kyrie's about to just score on everyone here. So it's kind of interesting to see someone that does something similar to LeBron in terms of just running the offense.
Yeah, I can't wait till LeBron gets back. And
Me too.
I would be interested to see how far he takes his team.
I can wait for both of them to get back.
And if I personally think if LeBron makes it to the finals and win the whole thing this year, he has to be in front of Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would agree with that, actually.
And I love Michael Jordan, but if he can accomplish that in this young Lakers team and beat the Warriors, Warriors are an all-star team. That's an all-star team. With 5 all-stars, come on, So, if he could beat them and then beat a team in the East in the final, I think he's the best player to ever play the game.
I agree with that, too.
I had to call Ryan after DeMarcus Cousins went to the Warriors because I was like, can you believe this?
Yes, yeah. I seen him play for the first time with them a few weeks ago. I still don't believe it. Like, they really have 5 all-stars on that team. Stack. So if they don't win it, that'll be probably the biggest bust ever in NBA history. Even when Miami Heat didn't win it versus Dallas, I think that'll be worse than that. Like,
all right, is that it for you?
Yeah, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate having you on, and maybe we'll get you back on some other time before the conference.
I'm always willing to come back and welcome anytime.
And thanks for telling us your story because I thought that was really powerful.
Appreciate it.
And just the message you have for people that want to play college basketball somewhere. Anyways, I'm Austin Hinson. That's Ryan Monroe. Thank you so much for listening. We are ready to